Hello. So good morning. First of all, it's Thanksgiving. Um, I've been called to talk about how obedience may save your life. God has been putting it on my heart to really just release this story. This is not something that I actually like to talk about, like ever. But it's definitely something that I have been delivered from and saved and brought through. So I before giving my life over to Christ, I actually was in a relationship. I met this man who lied to me. Um, this man turned out to be married. He told many lies. He turned out to be married, and his wife turned out to be a witch, and he was a warlock, and I had no clue. Um, until one day, one night, God had been trying to tell me and reach out to me in any type of way about this man. Like I used to get real bad anxiety around him. Like I used to sweat real bad only around him and get really nervous only around him. And I just didn't understand why. But God was trying to let me know, like, use your discernment, like something's not right. Nothing added up, nothing made sense. And so I was in this relationship with this man, or so what I thought was a relationship for a long time. And one day I ended up finding out that he was married, and his wife uh, reached out to me, and she wanted to meet up with me, but and she didn't seem angry. She seemed very calm. I mean, just like really calm. But everything in my stomach was just like turning, my like I woke up before the phone call that I got from her even came. It came at 2:30 in the morning. I woke up 30 minutes before the phone call, and I woke up praying. Like that's how much the discernment was heavy on me. God woke me up at my sleep to pray. And then she gave me a call. I did not know anything about witches before now. I knew nothing about warlocks. I was pretty much a girl who had been staying to herself. I barely watched TV. Like I was on a whole nother journey trying to get closer and closer to the most high. Um, I didn't entertain a lot of friends. It was just me and my 1.5-year old. I was pretty much to myself, um, a loner. I didn't really contact family a lot. I was just to myself, just me, God, and my baby. Um, so when this hit me, it hit me hard and like out of nowhere. Like I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I wasn't a party girl, like none of that. Um, I did no drugs, like nothing. I didn't live that lifestyle. So anyway, this lady called me, and she was very calm, and she wanted to meet up with me to try to trap this man. And God was like, no, don't do that. Don't do it. Like, don't do it. So I declined her, and I tried to, end things with him. But God was telling me that danger was on my heels. Like, he was letting me know that danger was on my heels. At the time, I didn't know about what was considered like witchcraft and stuff like that. So at the time, I was into tarot. And I had seen like for months a whole bunch of tarot readers were like on YouTube talking about this lady who had a gun, who knew where this person stayed at and stuff like that. And I didn't think it was pertaining to me at all. I just kept ignoring it, kept ignoring it. And then I got this phone call, and a tarot reader reached out to me and let me know that the people, everybody in tarot land was basically trying to warn me that this lady knew where I lived and she was coming with a gun. The apartment I lived in had flood damage, so my doors were weak. I didn't have any weapons. My doors were, you could blow on my door and it'll come open. Like the doors were just soft, weak. You lean on it and it was going to open up. So I had no protection um, whatsoever, just me and a baby. And so I was nervous. This tarot reader confirmed that this lady was a witch and this man was a warlock, and They had a covenant of witches. Um, and I didn't know what to do. I went into a straight panic attack, hyperventilating, just straight panic attack. And so she said, "This lady knows so much about you. You need to protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself." And she asked me about these two particular names and asked me if I knew them. And I did not. I didn't know these people who she mentioned. Well, this lady got off the phone with me. And later on that night, God told me to call the police. I started like playing back in my head things that I noticed that were odd. Like 2 days prior to this phone call, I noticed that when I went to my car, there was a bracelet in my car, but the only people who had ever really ridden in my car was me and my child. So I'm like, where did this bracelet come from? At the time, the car that I had, the motor on my windows were broken. And so my windows would fall. If I were to drive it, they would fall if I was driving it. I was working from home at the time. So the only time that, again, my windows falls when I was driving. So my car stayed parked because I was working from home. I was ordering everything to the house. I pretty much, didn't leave my house a whole lot at the time. Not in my vehicle because of the window situation. So I'm noticing that I found a bracelet in my car, and I was like, where did this bracelet come from? It's not mine. And my 1.5 year old didn't put a bracelet in my car. Somebody's been in my vehicle. Um, so anyway, later on that night, after I got word of this lady coming towards me with a gun, God told me to call the police. I forgot, to be honest with you, I forgot what I told the police, but he was just letting me know, like, get the police up here now because they're gang stalking you. Like God started like giving me messages like they're gang stalking you. They're on their way. They're outside right now. If you get the police up here now, it's gonna scare them away. It's gonna mess up their plans. So I called the police. I forgot what I told them, but just to have the police, they came with 2 cars, just to have them pull up to my apartment. Whatever plans they had for me that night, it didn't happen. It didn't go through. When the police left, the Lord told me to turn off all the lights in my house and to begin to pack, but not pack my material things, but to pack all of my paperwork. I began to pack everything with me and my child's name on it, pill bottles, all paperwork. Like I didn't leave a trace behind because I didn't want those people to find me. Because it was not just one person. It turned into gang stalking. So I began to pack everything, and I did not go to sleep that night. I did not, could not. God did not want me to go to sleep that night. I stayed up all night, paranoid in the dark, with suitcases packed, looking out my window. When the sun came up, God said, "When the sun comes up, I need you to move swiftly." I looked out my window and I saw a maintenance man, and I looked at my car. My car windows were no longer up. They were down. And at the time when my car windows were, when the motor was, not working and they would fall, I would like prop them up with cardboard. So they were propped up the night before. So to look at my car and see that both of my windows were down and my car has not moved in 3 weeks, somebody had my car the night before when the police were out there. So I asked the maintenance man to look in the back seat to see if anybody was back there. And he looked and he said, "No, nobody's back here." So God said, "Go get your car now and back it up to your staircase," because I lived on the second floor of my apartment. He said, "Back it into your staircase and begin to load up your car." So I did just that. I hurried. He said, "Hurry, hurry, now, do it now." This was early. I'm telling you, the sun just came up. I reversed my car. I was obedient. I reversed my car and backed it into the staircase. In the apartments that I lived in, it was only one way in, one way out. Like the road path was shaped like an L. And I lived on the very corner part of it, so I could see everybody coming and going. So I backed my car into the staircase, and I began to load my car, and as I put my last box into the car and I began to walk up my stairs, to the right of me was a fence. I lived on the back side of like an vacant office. And so on the back side of that vacant office, nobody ever rented that office building out. So there was just a dumpster back there. Nobody was ever back there because nobody ever used that lot. Nobody ever used it. Well, on my way walking up the stairs, I look to my right and I see a woman with her car parked on the other side of the fence by the dumpster. And she's taking, um, give me that tissue right there, baby. She's she's appearing to be cleaning out her car. And but this car is clean. She has all four of her doors open. And she's taking little like literally walking like a little strip of paper, this big, the corner piece of a paper, to the dumpster, slowly walking towards it while she's watching me walk up to my apartment. So she's targeting me. And she has a cell phone that she's reporting all my movements to someone else. God let me know that she was one of them. These people were so wicked. This lady wasn't even dressed like she was coming to murder. She was dressed, she had on a sundress and flip-flops, just like it was another day. Early in the morning, bright and early, 7:30 in the morning. God said she's one of them. So I ducked down behind like a pole that was near my house and I grabbed my phone to call the police. This lady was not afraid of me calling the police. She had her phone, I had my phone. She was waiting on the orders to shoot. So as I'm ducking and hiding behind the wall and I'm trying to contact the police, she's waiting for permission, but she is not getting the permission to shoot. So she eventually walks over to her glove compartment and she opens it and I see the gun. And she's kind of like bickering and arguing and going back and forth about if she should pull this trigger or not. But variables have changed in the situation. Whatever plans they had, God intervened because they were expecting to run up my staircase and kill me and my baby. Okay, I'm trying to keep from crying. Their plan was to run up my staircase and to try and kill me and my baby. But God told me to put that car into that staircase. So I didn't know what the plan was at first, but God revealed it to me. I was just being obedient. He said, do it now, do it now. Back the car into the staircase right now. Load the car right now. Those people, as soon as I did follow every instruction, they were there. They were there, ready to kill. But they did not have access to me like how they thought that they were going to have it. So the lady got into the car and she slowly drove away. And when she did, I stepped back out onto my little porch and made a right to go towards my car again. As soon as I got downstairs to the driver's seat of my car, I looked up and I seen another lady full of anger. She, it's like she was right in front of my car, parked right in front of my car. But because my car was in the way, she could not kill me. She could not just run up and kill me and leave. It was not an easy in and out. Because God had intervened and I had been obedient. Me and my child are still alive this day. This happened to me about 3 or 4 years ago. That morning when I woke up, I mentioned that the reader mentioned some names. I didn't know the names. Well, when I woke up that morning and got on my social media, I had a friend request of one of the people who the reader named. It, it was one of the people. This was a hitman. Somebody they had hired to track me down. When the when I ran into the second lady after the first lady left, she was so full of hate, rage, and anger. She tried to rip her steering wheel out of her vehicle. She stomped onto her gas. She put her car in reverse and stomped onto her gas. I'm talking about pedal to the metal and reversed without even looking behind her. If a child or any other person or animal would have been behind her, it would have died. She was full of that much rage. And she couldn't kill me and my child. She couldn't get to us. I escaped. After they left, God told me when to move. I escaped. And this is very hard for me to talk about. But I feel like it's going to help somebody else. That obedience can save your life, because if I went to sleep and I didn't move my car and I overslept, or if I didn't call the police and if I just did not listen, I would be dead. I would be dead. My child would be dead. We would be dead. Um, Y'all gotta excuse me. I have a little cold too on top of this, so um, um, after that, I was able to escape. I ended up finding a tracking device on my car. So me finding that bracelet, somebody was there putting a tracking device on my car to find me. And I was traveling to get away. I was traveling far, far away. I can't tell you where I went, but I traveled far, far away, and I was nervous the whole time. I kept looking under my car for a tracking device, because God was letting me know that there was a tracking, and I couldn't find it. And then I finally located the tracking device. Um, and so what I thought was a tracking device. And so I called a shop in the area that I was in. I just started calling random shops and asked them if they could describe what a tracking device looked like. And I got this older man. There was this man from this particular, it was like a, there was this man who was like a mechanic. And, excuse me. There was this man who was like a mechanic at this shop, and I just called a random shop, random mechanic. It was an older man, and I asked him what a tracking device looked like. I did not describe to him what I had. He told me. He said, "Cut those 3 wires." When I looked at that device, it had exactly 3 wires. It had exactly 3 wires. I cut the wires, and the light went off. He said, "Now, if you could still crank your car, that means that was a tracking device." I cranked my car. Everything else in my car worked smoothly. He said, "God bless you and be careful." I was being gang stalked. They were trying to take me and my child's life. They were wicked people. Very wicked people. I used to be afraid to, after that, I was so traumatized. I used to be afraid to come outside in the daytime, let alone come out at night. I lived in fear constantly behind that. I was so traumatized. But God removed that fear. And He taught me how to war in the spirit. He taught me how to fight. He delivered me from tarot readings. He delivered me from witches and warlocks. He taught me how to go to war. He taught me how to step into the authority that He's called me to step into. Like I have changed. My life has changed completely. Completely. I used to cuss like a sailor. I don't cuss no more. I don't I don't talk the way I used to. I don't live the way I used to. I gave my life completely over to God, because after you have saved me and my child, when we were lost in darkness due to the decisions that I was making, you had such grace and mercy on me. I had to give my life over. And it's been wonderful ever since. He removed that fear, that anxiety. I don't live in fear and anxiety no more. I don't live with guns, because I trust and believe after that I loaded up with guns and all types of weapons. But He had me to get rid of things. He had me to remove those things. He said, I no longer want you to live in fear, but walk in faith. Trust in me.